I'm very grateful because RNGesus has blessed me this episode with some high quality weapon rolls right off the rip, and few of them could compare to the joy I felt when I received my God roll Chroma Rush. This is the reprised rapid fire frame auto rifle from Season of the Splicer. I remember when I got Chroma Rush back in the day, Subsistence, Rampage, I put over 10,000 kills on it just that season and loved every minute of using it. Subsistence had just gotten buffed and you could fire that gun forever. I remember going to the moon, doing Altars of Sorrow, and my friends joking, oh, there goes Nightmare with his Chroma Rush. He hasn't stopped firing it this whole wave. And that was true. That is what happened. Chroma Rush is back. And at first, when I saw the new episode come out and I saw the perk pool, I was very whelmed. I don't think Chroma Rush hits all the notes on paper that I was really looking for from this auto rifle. We do have new perks in the third column. We swap out Moving Target and Feeding Frenzy in exchange for Killing Wind and To the Pain, which is a new perk. For those who don't know what To the Pain does, while this weapon is equipped, taking damage increases handling and aim assist until the weapon is stowed. It's a fine perk. Not at the top of my list. Maybe if you're going to bring this into PvP, not my focus today, though. My focus is on the PvE aspects, and I'm looking at primarily the changes they made to the fourth column. We lost Adrenaline Junkie, we lost Thresh, really nothing lost there, and we did lose Wellspring, but in exchange, we got a bevy of new options. Target Lock, Frenzy, which I don't know how I Mandela affected myself into believing Frenzy was on the original roll. I could have sworn Frenzy was an option back in the day. It apparently was not. I think I spent a lot of time trying to get a Frenzy roll that clearly didn't exist, and I'm driving myself crazy about it now. And the all-important Kinetic Tremors, and that is the perk I'm really focused on today. Target Lock is a great damage-dealing perk, but even though Chroma Rush can effectively use it, it's got a great fire rate, it has a deep mag. If it came with something like Rewind Rounds, which is really the type of ammo perk I wanted to see in the third column, if it had something like that, I could see Target Lock being a more viable option. Short of that, I feel like you're going to blow through most ads that you would want to use Chroma Rush on long before Target Lock would become a factor, and by the time it does, there's better weapons to be using, and I just don't think it's valuable the same way that something like Rampage could be, or even Kill Clip, and again, not my favorite perk for that. Kinetic Tremors, Frenzy is good too, don't get me wrong, but Kinetic Tremors is what makes kinetic weapons viable, in my opinion, in the current sandbox. With so many enemies having shields, with ad clear potential so important, single target ad clear, like a Subsistence Frenzy, does not accomplish the same goal that it used to 2 or 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, in, say, the Beyond Light era, you could blow through enemies. Sunshot wasn't quite as popular as it is now. Graviton Lance wasn't quite as popular as it is now. Really, in the pre-3.0 era, those weapons were highly effective and very good, but they weren't as ubiquitous as they are today. From my experience, I don't remember people back then, clamoring for Sunshot like they are today. And a weapon like Chroma Rush could thrive because it could kill a lot of ads, it could kill them quickly, and it could keep loading ammo into the mag. It was really good at clearing ads. That was kind of one of the pinnacles of, hey, here's a legendary primary that can clear ads really well. Cool, give it to me. As we started to get 3.0s, more shields became involved, more verbs became involved, and weapons like that became less of a factor. Kinetic Tremors changes a lot of that, because kinetic tremors doesn't care if you're an arc shield or a void shield or a stasis shield, whatever shield you are. It hits hard. It hits groups. It takes advantage of damage perks if you choose to use it. Not a factor on this particular weapon, but where it is, that's a huge benefit, being able to do those things. Kinetic tremors is a brilliant utility neutral game perk. It just works.
It just works.
And it does its job extremely well. Putting that on a weapon like Chroma Rush has two big benefits for you. The first being that Chroma Rush is now viable against more orange bars, or whatever color that bar is right now, the reddish, glowing, whatever Bungie's doing with that currently. It makes Chroma Rush hit those targets harder, and it allows you to kill, or hurt at least, those smaller targets around it, making it a lot more viable for overall ad clear. The uptime on this weapon, even though you're not running with a damage perk, with the improvements that have been made to primaries, to overall damage on these weapons over the last year or so, has made a difference. Chroma Rush feels great. It burns through red bars and holds its own against orange bars. Kinetic tremors is going to make the difference there and allow you to, hey, you know what? I'm out of ammo in all my guns. I'm just going to lay into it with my auto rifle, proc kinetic tremors a couple times. The other benefit of tremors specifically on a gun like this, I go back to Blast Furnace. Blast Furnace had the benefit of such a deep magazine that it could proc kinetic tremors multiple times, even if you were just holding down the trigger. You could just lay it on, and ultimately you could proc kinetic tremors 2 times on a single mag. Chroma Rush can do that. You have to be a little more careful with your magazine because a 720 auto will blow through rounds. But if you're a little more careful, or if you're killing red bars in between and proccing subsistence, you can really just run through groups, really hit those majors with the kinetic tremors, and the next thing you know, you've put 4,000 kills on the gun. Because that's what I did. My role is subsistence kinetic tremors. I love it. I have over 4,000 kills on this gun. I got the auto rifle I was looking for, one of the roles I wanted from Vesper. I like Chroma Rush so much that I put that gun away, and I said, hey, you know what? Maybe I come back to this when the Stasis Rocket Sidearm comes out. Right now, I am in love with Chroma Rush. This is my favorite primary in the game. It feels so good to use. Even when you have weapons in slot, like Kvastov, like Necrochasm, being able to have this as a legendary, that in my opinion feels really good in a lot of the same ways that those guns feel good. I will not dare compare their effectiveness. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Chroma Rush is better than Necrochasm or better than Kvastov. It's not the case. But it feels effective enough to be a worthwhile replacement for those, so I can run Buried Bloodline or Exdirus, which I've been using kind of on and off this episode. Maybe I'll do a video on that at some point, but being able to use my energy exotics, where I tend to like the special ammo exotics a little bit better than the kinetic slot, I like that versatility. The weapon feels great. It feels so good. Even at its base recoil of 45, I wouldn't change a thing. It feels incredible. It's a laser beam. It just feels consistent. Considering how kind of bland on paper, like I was saying before, that perk pool is, I'm kind of wildly impressed with just how good the gun feels. I was not expecting to fall in love with it again the way I have, but I got the right roll, and I have been thriving with it. The other thing I was impressed by that I want to make sure to touch on is the origin trait Splicer Surge. I was willing to write this off, again, on paper. I was foolish. I was willing to write this off. Reloading this weapon after dealing damage grants the weapon a stacking, reload speed, and handling bonus until stowed. What Foundry is saying, the base numbers of this, for an origin trait, mind you. Deal damage, reload the weapon, you get up to 3 stacks of 10, 20, or 45 handling, 10, 20, or 45 reload speed, and a reload duration multiplier ranging from 0.967 all the way to 0.9, which all of that, when you add it together, makes for a snappy reload. It compensates for the weapon's kind of subpar handling, in my opinion. It's the one real weakness that the gun has, is its handling. It really makes up for that. Some will argue range is the weakness, and I totally understand that argument. Not a huge deal for how you're going to be using this. The thing I love about it, as somebody who loves SMGs, it feels like an SMG with a range that it goes farther. It's everything I love about SMGs, but further range, so much more usable. I don't have to put it away in the same ways that I have to put away my multi-mock or something like that. And Splicer Surge encourages me to keep the weapon out, allow that to proc, allow those stacks to build, and really kind of let the weapon rip. I highly recommend everybody go out and get a great roll on Chroma Rush. There are, a couple of options in there. I would really direct everybody to Subsistence Kinetic Tremors. That is my absolute favorite. Subsistence Rampage would be my next recommendation. I know Frenzy is there, and I almost always tell people to go Frenzy. The way this weapon can stack those buffs, stack that reload, Rampage is a killer. And that was my original roll, and if I couldn't get Kinetic Tremors, Rampage would be my next pick. Then Frenzy. That's kind of your top 3, but I would pair all of those with Subsistence. It's an incredible feeling gun, a bullet hose. It's a power fantasy kind of primary. Highly recommend. If you guys have gotten a Chroma Rush that you love, let me know. As always, if you guys enjoy the content, please, I know it's annoying, but I feel like I have to ask. It works. Please toss the video a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to keep these weekly updates for weapons going, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.